Hi. This is the BSI Comics VODCAST. I still hate that name.
I love it. Tells you exactly what we're about.
You love it because you came up with it.
I think I stole that from someone. I had to have.
I hope you did because it's a terrible name. Anyway, so this is the BSI Comics VODCAST. I'm your host, Adam.
I dropped the pen. My name's Fletch.
And we're here to talk to you about how it's raining, man. Hallelujah. Or Alleluia. It's actually the H is silent.
Right.
Alleluia. People don't know that. It's not Hallelujah. Anyway, so if you're a lady and you're in the greater New Orleans area on September 3rd, I'm pretty sure that's the date. It's next Saturday.
6:30 p.m.
Right after the store closes. And, let's say you like comics or TV and sci-fi and that kind of stuff, or you know someone who does, but they're afraid to... I don't really understand the premise, but it's Ladies' Night at BSI Comics.
It's a nice, easy way for people to meet new people, congregate, and, see other people that are involved in the stuff that you like, or maybe learn about something you don't know about. You might get some new recommendations on stuff to read, stuff to check out.
Or you can just hang out with other ladies and, high-five each other.
Or that.
Whatever women do when they're alone. Not drink. You can't...
absolutely.
There's going to be drinks there?
Absolutely.
I mean, we're not providing them, are we?
Yeah.
Are we? Okay, we'll get drunk and read comics. I don't know. All right.
Food.
I don't know what you dames do when you're alone. I mean, I could go a lot of places with this, but you're just going to ask me to delete this one, too, so...
There'll be lots of food, drink. We have gift bags for the first 20 ladies, I think, that show up. We'll have raffles, prizes to give away, and discounts on certain books and stuff.
And again, we will not be there. There will be no men allowed, even employees. So Ashley, I guess, is going to be running it.
Ashley would be
former employee Ashley.
HWIC. Head woman in charge. Yeah.
That worked. Okay. Anyway, so if you're a female in the greater New Orleans area, or you have a female friend, or whatever, and if it's somebody that hasn't read comics before, this might be a good introduction for them.
Right on.
So we do this every, I want to say 6 months. This is the third one that BSI has done.
It's been a great success every time. Everybody says they love it, so...
You can see pictures up on the Facebook page. BSI Comics, Facebook.com/BSI Comics.
Yep. So come on out, check it out. If you're a lady, if you're a guy, you're not getting in.
No. Not even if you wear a wig. Maybe if you wear a dress.
I don't know. I'm not policing that. We're not here for that.
Right.
So,
okay.
Anyway.
Well, so let's talk some news. Let's talk some stuff that's been going on.
If you want to call it news.
So, Invincible is no longer Invincible. I mean, he's technically still Invincible, but he's dying, or maybe not dying.
Spoilers.
I don't know. They're ending the comic Invincible after, I think they're on 131 issues, and they said there's going to be one last year. So.
Yeah, they're going to do one last.
So around 140 something.
To be fair, he said one last year. I don't know if he means 12 issues.
I'm pretty sure he said the storyline is 12 issues.
So we got at least another 4 years of Invincible.
Invincible's not really that late, is it?
Nah, it's fine.
I don't keep up with it anymore. I'm kind of glad it's over. To be honest with you. I was a big Invincible fan, but it kind of ran its course.
I think we talked about this before with Darth Vader. People love things and they never want them to end, but sometimes it's better if they do. And this Darth Vader series is great. And They said they had a whole series planned, and this is how they wanted to end it. You can do another story after that, but it's nice when someone can wrap up their story and there's a nice ending instead of these ones that just kind of fade off into nothing.
And it's basically the same creative team that's been on the book the entire time. I mean, Corey Walker was the original artist, and he does fill-ins from time to time, but there's never been for example, because he worked in the Invincible universe, literally the book Invincible universe, Todd Knock never did an issue of Invincible. It's always been what is it with you and dropping pens?
I don't know. I'm having the shoes.
Anyway.
I need this pen to write down notes.
Please put it down. Thank you. So anytime Ryan Otley's needed a break, the original artist Corey Walker comes back, and in fact, I think Corey Walker's on it right now. So, but they just decided like it's time to like just make a clean break and end it, and thankfully it's not, you know, for the people who are still reading it, it's not just like, oh, 2 issues from now we just decided, you
right.
know. So they've got like I said, about a little over a year, and they'll be ending it. So I know it'll be good. I know Ryan Otley recently did that full length bear shark, grizzly shark. Couldn't think of the name of it. Did a full length grizzly shark miniseries that I think was just put in trade, right? Or it's coming out in trade.
About to come out in trade.
Okay, that's where I was confused. So it'll be nice to see him on something else. I mean, I know he also did Haunt with Greg Capullo, but that was really, I think he did layouts and Capullo really did the finishes on it. So it'll be nice to see Otley doing something different. And I assume at this point that Robert Kirkman's going to do more like TV and movie stuff. You know, because he's got Outcast coming on Cinemax.
Sure, he's going to malar the crap out of some books.
Start making them specifically for movies. Well, that's not bad. Look,
if they're good.
By the way, it's Mark Miller. But, okay. But some of Mark Miller's miniseries are pretty good, though.
They are. Like I don't have a problem with you doing that as long as they're good. Right. But when it seems like everything you're doing is for that sole purpose.
That's true. But in any case, so sorry to all those Invincible fans out there, but you still got a year. It's a lot like the Fables thing. You know, that really crushed me, as that Fables was ending. But truthfully, much like this, like Fables kind of faded in and out as to, you know, like it was never bad, but there were just times when I was like, they're just kind of going through the motions. And so they were like, look, we're going to do like one last year and then we're out. And they ended it in a grand fashion. So presumably that's what they're gearing up towards. It's like a very strong finish for this series.
Right on.
So I think that's really the only comic book specific news that we have. New York Comic Con's coming in, I guess, about a month, a little over a month.
We should get a lot out of that.
Yeah, so I feel like, because a lot of the comics companies, depending on what it is, like San Diego, they kind of stopped doing comic book news, but some of these other conventions that are also huge, like New York Comic Con is, I don't know if it's the second biggest in the world, but it's up there, you know.
And it's more comics.
Right, than San Diego, certainly. So like New York Comic Con, Emerald City, when it comes close to those times, some of the comics companies start to like slide on what they're releasing so that they can make a big splash at the convention. But we do have some other stuff, like in terms of like TV and movies. First of all, Bruno Heller is the producer of the TV series Gotham.
Bruno bad. He sliced a dice up.
I don't even know what to say after that. He made a comment that he doesn't think superheroes work on TV, and that's why Gotham is and shall remain the show it is. Very weird statement from a guy producing a TV show for Warner Brothers that has, what, like 6 or 7 ongoing superhero TV shows right now. And it might be less than that, because
you might not
Constantine got canceled.
But the superheroes in your show, but it's definitely about superheroes.
And there's also like supernatural stuff going on in that show.
Like Batman is in the show.
Sort of, yeah.
He's freaking Batman. I mean, he's not Batman yet, but
he's Batboy.
He's Batboy, right?
Batboy. Anyway, I'm sorry. I don't know why I did that. That was
much worse than my joke.
I don't know why I did that. So I feel like they're going to make him apologize soon, or like, oh, no, that's not what I meant.
They'll just forget about it.
But it's just funny, like, not just because they have all these successful shows on TV right now, but also because there were like 10 seasons of Smallville for the first decade of this century.
He never said he was right. He just said...
So, weird comment.
Superheroes don't work on TV. Just the 5 shows that are better
Also,
than mine.
Gotham sucks.
Just the 5 shows that are better than mine that are out right now.
I've tried to watch a couple of episodes of that show. I watched the.
You forgot to say, in my opinion, Gotham sucks.
No, it just sucks. It's just horrible. It's a terrible show. And what really sucks about it is I'm a huge Donald Logue fan, so like I wanted it to be successful, but yeah, terrible show. So sorry, Bruno Heller, most famous for doing the show The Mentalist. So there you go.
Fun stuff.
There's a rumor going around that Disney has announced a while ago that they're going to be doing a Lando Solo movie, just like they're doing a Han Solo movie. Sorry, that wasn't intentional. So it'll be the adventures of young Han Solo and the adventures of young Lando. There's a rumor going around that they're going to have Community. Well, I guess he doesn't want to be known as the star of Community anymore. Donald Glover.
Famous rapper.
Well, famous, and he's a rapper. I don't know if he's a famous rapper. Is Childish Gambino really that big? Okay, I'll take your word for it.
Gambino. He didn't play baseball or hit home runs.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't know. But there's a rumor going on that he's going to play Lando, and I got to say, I really hope that's not the case. Like, I like Donald Glover, but he's not. First of all, he's cultivated this reputation of just being kind of a annoying weirdo. Aside from whatever his rap persona is, like he seems that he's like the black male Katherine Heigl. Like he's a little bit of a prima donna, like and thinks of himself as an artist, which is fine. But you became famous by playing a character notoriously like stupid and good looking. So, Anyway, the thing is, like, and I have the same problem with, like, the idea of, like, young Han Solo in the sense that these characters were played by, like, true icons. Harrison Ford and Billy D. Williams. Billy D. Williams was, and probably still is, the coolest dude on the planet.
Right.
Like, go back and watch anything that Billy D. Williams does, aside from the first Batman movie. Like any random appearance like he did, even when he was like in his 70s.
No, I met him.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And he could care less.
Well, he's Billy D. Williams.
That's what I'm saying. He was just like, he had his glasses on. He was like, yeah, man, it's all.
Does he have a glass of Colt 45 malt liquor?
No, but I was going to get him to sign the Colt 45 picture. But he wanted
the Colt 45 that you pulled out of your pocket.
He wanted like another $45, and I was like, man, I can't pay you $45 to sign this.
That's it. But no, but he was the coolest dude on the planet, and again, still is.
The way he handled like annoying fans and stuff, incredible. Just smooth,
But I just don't. I feel like if you're gonna have this movie, you kind of have to find a new actor that can really like.
I think Donald Glover would nail it.
I just don't think he's cool enough.
Because think. All right, you had a.
I don't think he's charming enough. He's funny and he's cool, but I don't think he's charming.
The Billy D. Williams, that was the polished version of Lando. When he's young, he's still kind of reckless and stupid.
No, because young Billy D. Williams could charm the pants off of people as well.
He's not playing Billy D. Williams. He's playing
literally.
Lando.
Lando was pretty much Billy D. Well, but it's the same thing with Harrison Ford and young Han Solo. I don't think there's any good that comes of like really like trying to have somebody else fill these characters' shoes, But and again, nothing against Donald Glover. I hope he's successful. Again, I still find him funny. I love Community. But
you just have a different opinion.
I just don't think he's charming.
People have different opinions on castings, and we'll talk about that later.
That's not an opinion. So there's that, and that's still a rumor. And and obviously we'll talk about rumors as well later. What else? Actually, there is no later. That was the last story that we have to get into.
Great. So we'll talk about that now.
I have it organized wrong. So
right on. If you're easily offended, first of all, I don't know why you're watching us.
This show really isn't that offensive.
No, it's not offensive, but people get so butthurt over everything.
Well, You know, in the case of this story, the accusation is that the people who are angry are butthurt, which makes sense because that's kind of what butthurt means.
Right.
Anyway, speaking of rumors, because as far as I know, Marvel has not confirmed this, or Sony.
Right.
But there was a rumor that came out, I guess, 2 weeks ago now? Week and a half, something like that. It's not that, it hadn't been that long. That, well, we knew that the new Spider-Man movie would have the lead actress, or at least one of the lead actresses would be Zendaya, who's famous for her Disney Channel movies, or not cartoons, TV shows.
Right.
Shake It Up. If you got kids, like you might have heard of it, or you got like a little...
She's fairly well known in the young Disneyverse.
Yeah, so, and then she's got a current show called KC Undercover, or something like that.
Right.
And she's trying to make the transition to movies, and she got cast as one of the lead actresses in the Spider-Man Homecoming movie.
Which I think she would fit into the cast
very
well.
Fun.
Like,
yeah.
you know, they're set in high school, and...
Now, you know, it's a different type of acting, so we'll see, like, how she performs, but... she also had a hit single last year. I don't remember what it was, but I remember I wanted to buy it. She's a very, very talented singer, beautiful young girl. And so about a week and a half ago, I believe it was The Wrap announced it.
I don't remember. I've read it a couple different places, but like you said, it's not been confirmed yet.
It hasn't been confirmed, but they're saying that she's going to play Mary Jane Watson in the movie. Now, I seem to recall when they first announced her casting that they denied that she was going to play, like, any character like that. Like, maybe I'm confused, but I'm pretty sure that's what I heard. If this is true, then it's sort of a Benedict Cumberbatch situation with Khan.
Right.
Because they did the same thing with Star Trek. They were like, yeah, he's not Khan, and like, oh, no, he's Khan. We just want
to be fair, it could be a test, too.
It could be. My thing with, like, the whole part of the reason we're talking about this is because of the controversy about it, but part of the reason that I want to talk about it is because I find it interesting that it's neither been confirmed nor denied.
Right.
Like, this is causing an uproar, and it seems like if it's not true, they would have came out and said, no, that's not true.
Or they just don't care what rumors are, you know? They're like, we didn't say that, so I don't know why you would think that.
If it was a minor rumor, I'd agree with that. I mean, truthfully, we don't know. It might turn out to be nothing. And when I first heard about it, I was pretty disappointed. But I hadn't really made up my mind. I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to boycott this movie over this. Like, it makes me, it upsets me, but I'm just, at this point, I'm just like, whatever, you know, who knows. But if it turns out to be true at this point, I think I am going to boycott it. Not so much because of, and we'll get into the specifics in a minute, but not so much because of her being in the movie as Mary Jane Watson, but the response to people who are upset about this has been, oh, you're a racist. And it just made me think about, like, and again, this is all assuming that this turns out to be true.
Right.
The last thing we need is this in this country right now. The country's basically on fire. People at each other's throats. Why? This isn't something we need to be having an argument about.
It's really not that important.
Well, what do you mean specifically? Not that important?
The actual casting thing
mm-hmm.
is not important enough to be causing this kind of reactions among people. You know,
I think...
if you agree with the casting, if you like it, cool. If you don't, that's cool too. Like, you're allowed to have an opinion. It doesn't mean anything specific. You know.
I just think there's certain characters that you kind of have to, well, whatever, you know, sort of just let it go when they do swaps like this. Take, for instance, in Thor, when they cast Idris Elba as Heimdall. There was a minor uproar about that. Like, there were a few people upset. And it makes sense. Like, Heimdall is a Norse god.
Right.
He would look like a Viking. Like, there's no question of that. It wasn't just Heimdall, though. They sort of made it seem like each of the 9 realms represented different...
Right, they diversified them.
Which, to be fair, also goes, like, if you look at the Warriors 3, I can never remember the third one. There's Fandral, who is the basis of the legend of Robin Hood. There's Volstagg, who's just Volstagg the Voluminous. And then there's a third guy that I can never remember his name. But that guy was played by an Asian actor. Now, that makes sense because that character, it's like from the design, it's always been implied he was the basis for Genghis Khan or one of those historical types. So that's, like, okay, well, they made Heimdall black. All right, well, I like Idris Elba. Ultimately, it's like, that's a silly thing to sort of argue over. But, and I'll even go as far as, like, with the Daredevil movie in 2005, I believe it was.
Kingpin?
Kingpin, Michael Clark Duncan. When you're looking at a character like that, at least at the time, it's like, well, Kingpin's known as being, like, a physically massive character, and they wanted to go with somebody, like, fairly famous.
Right.
There's not a whole lot of people that fit the description of the Kingpin, like, in Hollywood, or just in life. And he made it work. I mean, it was a different character, but whatever. Now, granted, at the time, we didn't realize that eventually Vincent D'Onofrio would kill it, and playing not nearly as massive a character,
right.
although he's a big dude. But it just seemed like, that sort of makes sense. But then when you get into, like...
What about Nick Fury? I mean...
But Nick Fury's based on a specific version of that character. Right. That existed before. Like, literally, the Ultimates were like, hey, let's redesign, because it's the Ultimate Universe, so let's just redesign certain characters. So they're like, well, who's the coolest guy from this era? Like, Nick Fury was, like, the coolest guy, kind of guy you can imagine in the 50s. He was the alpha male of the 50s, or 40s, I'm sorry, the 40s. Who's the coolest guy of the 2000s? Well, Samuel L. Jackson. So they designed him to look like Samuel L. Jackson. And the movies, in turn, were like, yeah, we could try and do, like, what's his name that played Nick Fury in the movie?
David Hasselhoff.
David Hasselhoff. I don't know what I was going for Mark. David Hasselhoff. We could try to do the David Hasselhoff thing, but that doesn't make sense. Like, let's go with the Nick Fury version.
I guess
that makes sense.
There was none of this, like, backlash or hatred amongst people when any of this stuff happened.
There were some people upset about the Nick Fury thing. I don't think it was that bad, but there were some people upset until people started pointing out, like, no, that's actually from a comic.
Right.
The
comic that the movies are based on.
And also it's Samuel L. Jackson, so it's kind of hard to argue. Like, people like Samuel L. Jackson in general. But when it comes to certain characters, like Mary Jane Watson is one of the most famous characters in comics. Like, Black Widow at this point is considered, like, one of the most famous female characters, right?
I guess as far as exposure now. But,
right.
Yeah.
But she's nowhere near as famous as Mary Jane Watson.
No.
By any stretch of the imagination. So, like, this sort of... And they keep wanting to say, well, it's diversity. And I keep hearing this word, but it's not really diversity. Diversity is introducing new characters that have different backgrounds, different things. Now, you can assign whatever attribute you want to those backgrounds. But that's what diversity is. Taking a character that's established and making them something else simply because you are either too uncreative and lazy to come up with a new character is not diversity. It's simply saying, oh, well, that character doesn't have any actual meaning. It's just a name, so we can apply to whatever, and it'll be just as successful. That's not how that works.
Like you had brought up, you can make her anyone you want, You could have just made her Peter's love interest. And she
could have been Robbie Robertson's niece or something.
Right.
And I have no interest, nothing against Zendaya. I like Zendaya. I like her as an actress. Yeah, I watch Disney shows. I'm not really a big fan of Shake It Up. But, Casey Undercover is pretty cool.
Solid.
She's a great singer. She's a beautiful girl. Yeah, make her Peter's love interest. That's fine. It's, we're going to take Mary Jane Watson and we're going to make her a different character. Which, to be fair, they've done before. Kirsten Dunst was a horrible Mary Jane. And I didn't see the second Amazing Spider-Man movie, but the character they described didn't sound like Mary Jane either. So I feel like I really don't feel like they've done a great job with Mary Jane or Gwen Stacy as far as translating them to the movies.
Gwen from Amazing was pretty good.
I like Emma Stone, but do you feel like that was Gwen Stacy from the comics?
Like supermodel Gwen Stacy?
Well, Gwen Stacy was never a supermodel.
But like, I liked her version of Gwen Stacy a lot. Like it felt.
But I'm saying like it was a different character.
Yeah.
You know, and they do that, and like with Gwen Stacy, you can kind of do that because that character's fans are like in their late 50s now, because she died like around the time we were kids, you know. But with Mary Jane, like she's an iconic character. So if you're gonna make it a different character, if you're gonna play her with a different actress, just give her a different name. And after 5 movies, I'd be kind of psyched to have a new love interest besides Gwen Stacy or
that's kind of what I was
Mary
thinking.
Jane.
Like you said, we've had so much already.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't need her in every movie. I don't need Green Goblin in every movie. You know, let's do something different.
Absolutely. And you know, James Gunn came out and said, "Well, you know, a character isn't defined by their looks." And with respect to James Gunn, who's obviously a great director, great writer. I love Guardians of the Galaxy still. It's one of my favorite Marvel movies, but he's 100% wrong. In particular, when you're talking about comics, it's a visual medium.
Right.
The character's design is absolutely relevant to the character.
Captain America's iconic because he's red, white, and blue.
Right.
You know?
Especially back in the 1940s. Like, with respect to Joe Simon and Jack Kirby, I'm sure that character wasn't that deep back then. You know, he was essentially I hate using this word because it has a certain connotation, but he was kind of a propaganda character. Like it was like,
absolutely
America's awesome, Hitler's evil, which is true, but that's all he was, you know. But his design carried on throughout the years. It's been adjusted, but you know, it's still
it's a version of that's recognizable.
Right. It's still carried over through today, in its base elements. So saying that the character isn't defined by their looks doesn't apply here. It's not like if you'll take, for instance, the recent, again, controversy with the Harry Potter play in England, where Hermione's played by a black actress. And J.K. Rowling came out and said, well, if you look at the book, she was never actually defined as a white girl, so, you know, she could have been played just by a frizzy-haired black woman. Which I kind of call nonsense too, because the cover art's always had her designed a specific way, and that's what the movies were based on. It's the cover, the art from the books,
which you have 100% approval over.
Right, but that being said, if it doesn't actually, because I don't know if there's a specific instance where they describe her skin color, but I'll take her word for it.
Right.
That's a little different than a character who is most famous literally for one panel, where she's sitting there in a halter top, holding her jacket, saying, you know, "Face it, Tiger, you hit the jackpot."
Right.
That's one of the most famous scenes in comics, all comics across the world. It's absolutely one of the most famous scenes. So it's not that doesn't hold water, you know. And again, ultimately, I was disappointed that they would choose to do this at this time. Maybe 10 years from now, when the country's calmed down, we can have these sort of talks, but 2016 couldn't be a worse year to, like, you know, throw a firecracker in the middle of a crowd. You know, it doesn't matter if it's a little snap and pop. It's causing an uproar that didn't need to be there. You know, and again, the people who are going to come out, and I've seen websites do this, "Oh, you're a racist. I'm so done with that word. I don't care. Like, all right, I'm a racist, whatever. That just makes me not want to see the movie. And what really I find interesting is if you look at the lesson that we should take from Ghostbusters, you know, the Ghostbusters people made it a point to attack the people who were upset.
Mm-hmm.
Like, not try to bring you in, not try to assure you that, no, we're making a good movie and we're going to be faithful.
Right.
It was mostly like, you're sexist and you're stupid and girl power, we're going to make a movie just for us. Well, that movie failed. It failed horribly. And I'm glad, because they made an enemy of their audience. They made an enemy of people that made that movie possible.
Right.
And I feel like it's the same thing. Well, granted, it's not the movie producers as of right now. You know? And again, this could all end up being silly because it could be a rumor. In which case, if that's the truth, The Wrap should lose everything. You know, because that's just if it's not true, then that's just them making stuff up to cause controversy and get ratings. And I'm pretty sure it was the Wrap.com, but I apologize if I'm wrong. So I'm sick of having these. I don't want to talk about and even like we talked about the gay Ray. Right. At least that was a minor character that there's people like me that are upset because we want the old Ray Terrell character. But at least that was a minor character where you could go, well, it didn't really work. Like, it had a short, successful series. This is a new audience. Sorry, it's time to move on. We need a gay character, and we think the concept's interesting. At least you have an argument for that. With something like this, you don't have that argument at all, and it's just, I don't know. This isn't something I want to sit here and talk about. Like, it's getting repetitive and boring.
It shouldn't be something that we have to address as a controversy. It should be, hey, this happened. Okay, well, I think this when I think this. That's fine. You're allowed to think whatever you want with no other, connotation tacked onto it.
Right. I mean, ultimately, it's a weird thing to say, like, you're racist for wanting the character to be what the character is.
The classic version of the character, right.
And I'll give you an example of, like the hypocrisy, like, do you remember the movie Gods of Egypt that came out earlier this year? Almost no one does because that movie bombed horribly. Why? Because they put an all-white cast. I'm sorry, Chadwick Boseman was in it, in a minor role. But they put an all-white cast in a movie about ancient Egypt. What kind of morons do that? And I like Gerard Butler, but and apparently there were a lot of great actors in it. Jeffrey Rush was in it, but that's an idiotic movie, and it looked horrible, and it was confusing that they would do that, and nobody went and saw it. It bombed. I don't think people... Look, Luke Cage is coming out. Mm-hmm. If by chance Misty Knight and Colleen Wing are in that movie, or show, excuse me, Colleen Wing's white, Misty Knight's black. Keep them that way. No changes need to be made. Make them who they are. Make them what's... Granted, those characters aren't as successful, but they're still around, So it's just like silly that we keep having these bizarre discussions. And again, there's room to make new characters, especially in the Spider-Man universe.
Always.
And I'm pretty sure there have been black female characters, like main characters in the Spider-Man comics at some point.
I mean, if at any time was a good time to introduce new characters, now when you're doing this fresh take, from high school, is the time to do it.
Right. Like, how many Spider-Man high school characters can you name? Flash Thompson, Liz Allen, Gwen Stacy, Hobgoblin. Green Goblin.
What if they do like stuff from the TV show?
Harry Osborn. That's what.
Bring in like White Tiger.
Yeah, she's Hispanic. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Could have done that too. Could have done anything, but it's just silly, and arguing over it really is. I mean, number one, there's no point in really. If it turns out to be true, there's no point in arguing it anymore because it is what it is.
Right.
You'll either see the movie or you won't. But I don't want to hear about how I'm a racist because if I decide not to see the movie, because that's really what's making me kind of not want to see it is the backlash against people who are just saying, no, just keep it what it is.
Right.
Yeah. So. Anyway, I think that's all we have to say about it. Do you have any final thoughts or anything like that? Not necessarily about this, but...
Don't be so damn negative all the time.
I can't help it. It's a negative world.
Not you.
Oh. So as far as recommendations, obviously we're filming at Fletch's house, so we're a little hard up for finding stuff. I do want to point out that the second volume of Injection, the Warren Ellis and Declan Shelby and Jordi Belair comic, which is essentially about... I don't know if I've reviewed this book or not. It's about...
You definitely did Injection.
Okay. It's about a British team that creates something through science and magic that sort of warps reality and has a sense of humor about like fables and folklore and stuff like that. And it's a pretty trippy book, as many of Warren Ellis' side projects are. Actually, and honestly, many of his main projects are. But very cool. I haven't picked it up yet because I just bought the Midnight Nation hardcover, which I guess I'll have 2 recommendations then. But yeah, if you haven't checked out Injection, definitely check out the first volume, and you'll know halfway through the book if this is a book you want to keep up with. But really, really good. Jordy Belair and Declan Shelby knock it out of the park, and it's some of Ellis's best work recently. But I should also mention Midnight Nation, which if you're a long-time BSI customer, you probably heard me mention before. Fantastic book. Don't really want to get in on the specifics, but it's about people who fall through the cracks and sort of the choices that we make in life. It's one of Straczynski's best works, really. Like Babylon 5 is obviously his magnum opus, but Midnight Nation is pretty high on his list of like great things that he's done. Art by Gary Frank, and the hardcover might be a little pricey for most people. It was $100, but it's literally one of my favorite books. So.
You can get the regular trade.
Is that coming out?
It's out. I mean, there's.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I thought that the regular trade was out of print.
I thought we just got some.
Maybe we did. Maybe I'm just not keeping up with it. So, can you think of anything offhand that you wanted to recommend?
No, I got a couple of weird books. They should be in next week, so I'll check them out, and I should have another recommendation for you.
Okay. So I guess that's it for us. All right. I was going to say keep it metal, but that's not what we do.
No.
That's why we loved it.
No. Read more comics.
Oh, there you go.
And be less judgmental.
I'll let him handle the sign-offs from now on because I can't keep track of these things anymore. Bye now.